Okay, so this dream I had last night, I'm gonna say it in like a non-linear way of the barbecue. My friend Rick Mitchell, he was driving really erratically. I remember down this and he was driving so fast, and it was going into this construction zone where they ripped up the street, and the guy that was, and he's like, no problem, no problem, just keep calm, and he's not slowing down for the brakes at all, and the construction worker ahead is like, whoa, he just runs to the side, and and then barbecue just goes right through the detour, and it's like this jump onto the dirt road, and he's driving and just going but it he didn't hit anybody, and and he got through, nobody stopped him of the construction zone. So I guess it was perfectly legal.
Okay.
Which reminded me that I did a similar thing today where I was taking my bike through to get to the Epic Cafe, and I went through a side street, and they're doing some kind of construction work where they're filling concrete into one of those forklift thing, not a forklift, but they had a dump thing, and it was as big as a forklift, and so they were filling cement, and instead of me asking, hey, can I get through here, it was like, well, I can just walk through that way. So I got off my bike and I just walked beside them as they're filling concrete in there, and it was somewhat similar, or anyway. So I had somebody shot me out of sympathy, and they shot me in the head, and I forget for what reason. Maybe, I don't know if I committed a murder, or I don't think I committed a murder in this one, but it was done out of some kind of sympathy and I forget why. But I know it was a person at a customer at Aquavita, just some old guy, and he was just, and he did it, and I was completely at ease with it. It was it's not so much encouraging it, but just not anyway standing away, and I think I turned around to let him shoot me in the back of the head, and so a bullet went through, and there was blood, but maybe the bullet was in my head like a Sedona Sonora dog, and it was done at a hospital, so I don't know how I forget how I got there, but he shot me there. Maybe it was on some kind of life support or something like that. So anyway, after he shot me, then he kind of disappeared, and I wasn't gonna blame him for it either, because I totally invited it, or somewhat encouraged it. I didn't push it away, and so I didn't see him, but I wouldn't say that it was him. So kind of like that Van Gogh thing of the guy that chopped off his ear might have been his friend, but he didn't say so he then I was walking around with this bullet in my head, or half a brain or something like that, and blood, and running down my face. And I went up to these two guys, I think they might have been doctors or something, and they were asking me why I haven't done something where I thought, it's like, well, I just got shot in the head, and like, yeah, right, you would have been dead. And it's like, no, I really got shot in the head, and nobody took me seriously that I got shot in the head. And they just like kind of laughed it off, and then like, okay, well, if someone who shot you, and I was like, I didn't say that I'm not gonna say, but I just refused to say anything. I just didn't say anything. It was and there was other things that were happening, but those were some things that I can just remember right off the bat. But before I fell asleep and I woke up at 11:20, because I think I ate something, and then I was just laying in bed, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to make sure I get this get on the show. But I like kind of fell asleep, and I think it was because I was trying to get up. Then I was like, when I have to get up and I'm not getting up, then that forces a lot of anxiety. And so it was another one of those like reoccurring dreams of that my mom had cancer, the coma, but she got out of it. She like recovered in some way, but then it's like the quality of life was really bad, and then but I knew she was already dead at the same time, so it was basically like a sort of like a lucid dream, and it was a lot of guilt of that that I wasn't there enough to, and so I'm going through a lot of stuff that like James Joyce wrote about after his mom's death, which is interesting, because he had when his mom was dying, he came back to Ireland. He was living in France. I think had I'm not sure if it was before, maybe it was before he had kids, maybe even before he met Nora, but he exiled himself from the religion of Catholicism, and she asked him to pray to God for her. And in the book, Stephen Dedalus refused to. But I read in his, what he really did pray for her. And but in the story, Stephen Dedalus, he keeps reoccurring things of his mom asking him to pray for her, and his refusal to do that, and so I'm going through a lot of stuff like that, of this. But my mom, it's like she was always so sad, of like I want to shake her. I want to shake her of some kind of happiness. There's always like such. Well, at least nobody crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would always like want to shake her, like some happiness in her or something. But it didn't last long, and she was just such a workhorse. Just like worked herself so much of all the, because she was transcriptionist, and so that she would always tell me about like the doctors of, and so she would have to listen to all the doctors.
Yeah.
I remember that they replaced her with a computer, but she would have to look up all these words that the doctors would mumble all the time too. So like the computers can't pick up on that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah. So it was really, coming back into this world, um, at the train wreck. It was like, oh, it was really, really tough. Um, but yeah, it was like the best thing that I got to listen to Trainwreck at that point of like, and I'm like listening to like Jaime J and you guys, and I'm like, wow, this is how it's like of what my dream is gonna be, of this is how it's gonna work out organically, against all the self doubt like that. That like how am I supposed to like do all of these things that all of my heroes and stuff have done, and then like Igloo's doing the same thing of trying to get people together, of the same mind state. Jaime J has the same mind state of a failure thing and stuff, and it's just wow. So this is how it organically is going to work out, and it's really interesting, it was kind of just letting it happen. It's just so it's kind of weird, but acceptance to it all. Yeah, I really appreciate you.
That was a journey.
Yeah, it just keeps on.
Journey.
Jeez, man, these things though.
I never read about James Joyce's mom.
No, it's in Ulysses.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the Ulysses.
Yeah.
So Ulysses is like an interesting thing. Like, so you got Dubliners of like, it's like a whole bunch of things for Dubliners of like what not to do. For Dubliners, each one of these characters, they are given a choice, but they choose not to get out of Ireland. They choose not to. They choose to keep doing the dead. They choose to keep being dead in one way or another, and not to go to liberation, to go to like the most comfortable thing, and it's the death of them in the end, and at the very end of the book. So it's like it's very kind of metaphorical, but in a very it's only in metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it just seems like, oh, these are just really simple stories, and they're very well written, and they give every single one just like punches you in the gut of just like why, like, you want to strangle all of these characters of just like like this one girl. She's in an abusive relationship, and or like her family is abusive to her, and she has this one